Today, we're going to decode the invisible currents that can totally shape our flights, local winds. From takeoff and landing to flying low, understanding these is absolutely key, so let's jump right in.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever been at a coastal airport on a beautiful, calm summer morning, only to find that by the afternoon, there's a brisk wind blowing straight in off the water? It's a classic situation, right? Well, it's not random. It's a super predictable pattern, and it's driven by one powerful, yet really simple, force.
And that force is simply uneven heating. That's it. This one idea is the master key that unlocks our understanding of all the local winds we're going to cover today. Once you really get this, I promise, everything else just clicks into place.
Here's a super simple way to think about it. The land is kind of like a thin metal pan on a stove. It heats up really fast, and it cools down just as quickly. The sea, on the other hand, is more like a huge, deep pot of water. It takes forever to warm up, but once it's warm, it holds that heat for a long time. And that simple difference, well, that's the engine for literally everything we're about to see. So, what happens when you heat the air over that metal pan of land? Well, it expands, it becomes less dense, and it starts to rise. That whole process is called convection. Now, cooler, denser air has to rush in to fill the space that got left behind. And that movement, that rush of air, that's what we feel as wind. Convection is the physical engine that puts the whole idea of uneven heating into motion. So let's see this principle in action with our very first example, coastal winds. This daily temperature difference between land and sea creates a predictable cycle. It's almost like the coastline is breathing in and out over 24 hours.
Okay, so here's how that breathing actually works during the day. First, the land heats up way faster than the sea. That warm land heats the air right above it, which rises and creates an area of lower pressure. Since nature doesn't like a vacuum, the cooler, higher pressure air over the sea gets pulled inland to fill that space. And that movement from the sea to the land? Yep, that's your classic sea breeze.
Yeah, for us as pilots, this isn't just theory. A sea breeze is a real, tangible thing. You can pretty much count on it during summer afternoons, and at up to 20 knots, it's definitely strong enough to dictate which runway you're using. It usually stays below about 1,000 feet, but get this, it can push up to 30 miles inland, completely changing the conditions at an airport that you wouldn't even consider coastal.
All right, so what happens when the sun goes down? Well, that metal pan of land radiates its heat away super fast. Meanwhile, the pot of water, the sea, stays relatively warm. And you can probably guess what this means. Our entire convection engine is about to slam into reverse.
So here's the side-by-side. The sea breeze is that strong afternoon wind flowing from the sea. Its nighttime counterpart, the land breeze, is a much gentler flow moving from the land out to sea, and it usually peaks right around dawn, which makes sense, right? That's when the land is coldest, and the water is, relatively speaking, warmest.
Okay, so we've got the coasts down. Let's take our core principle of uneven heating and head into the mountains. Because the very same idea creates another daily cycle of winds, but this time, it's the mountain slopes that are doing the breathing.
During the day, the sun is just beating down on those mountain slopes, especially the ones facing the sun. This surface heats up the air right next to it, which then gets buoyant and starts to flow gently up the slope. This upslope breeze is called an anabatic wind. You can think of it as the mountain exhaling warm air.
Then, on clear nights, the complete opposite happens. The slopes radiate their heat out into space, and they get cold. The air touching the slope cools down, becomes denser and heavier, and it starts to slide down into the valley, pulled by gravity. This downslope flow is a katabatic wind, and because it's driven by cold, dense air, it can create some really significant low-level wind shear down in the valley. So let's put them together. Anabatic, that's the warm, gentle daytime flow up the mountain. Katabatic, the cold, dense nighttime flow down it. And for us pilots, that katabatic wind comes with a serious warning. As that cold air pools in the valley, it can cool all the surrounding air to its dew point and create fog, sometimes really, really fast.
So far, we've seen how terrain can breathe. But, sometimes mountains do more than just create these gentle cycles. They can dramatically transform an entire air mass, creating some powerful and totally unique local winds. Let's follow the air on its journey to become a Foehn wind. Okay, first you've got moist air being forced up the windward side of a mountain range. As it rises, it cools, it condenses, and it drops all of its moisture as rain or snow. Then this now super dry air spills over the top and starts coming down the other side. As that dry air descends, it warms up incredibly fast. So the end result on that leeward side is a surprisingly warm, very dry, and often gusty wind that can cause some serious mechanical turbulence. And our final special case is the funnel wind. This one's easy. Think about what happens when you put your thumb over the end of a garden hose. The water speeds up, right? The exact same thing applies to air. When the wind is forced to squeeze through a narrow mountain pass or a valley, it has to accelerate. This is called the Venturi effect, and it can create some dangerously high wind speeds in very specific localized areas.
All right, we've gone from the coast all the way to the mountains. Let's put this all together and run a quick knowledge check to see how these concepts connect.
First one. You're at a coastal airfield, it's just before sunrise, and you notice a gentle breeze blowing from the land out toward the sea. What do we call this?
That's a land breeze. It's that classic nighttime reversal, all driven by the land cooling down much, much faster than the water next to it.
Okay, second scenario for you. You've just crossed over a mountain range and you're descending on the sheltered side. The air's surprisingly warm, really dry, and the ride is getting bumpy. What kind of wind are you likely flying through?
That is a Foehn wind. It's the classic signature of air that got all its moisture wrung out on the way up one side and then warmed up like crazy as it descended down the other.
So, let's bring it all home. The most crucial point to remember is that it all starts with one thing: uneven heating. That single principle is the engine that drives the daily reversal of winds at the coast and on mountain slopes. And when you add some really big terrain into the mix, you get those powerful, transformed winds like Foehn and funnel winds.
Understanding the what is great, but the real skill is in knowing the why. So the final question, that's for you. The next time you're planning a flight near a coast or over mountains, how are you going to use this knowledge to look at the time of day, look at the terrain, and anticipate what the wind is going to do before you even get there? Because that right there, that's the mark of a truly knowledgeable pilot.